Hey, Tom and Saddle Ridge HOA. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I've gone through the barn and power washed today. We will be on site next week. May not be Monday, possibly not even Tuesday, but it will be Wednesday. And certainly next week we're going to get a ton of this prep done, if not the whole thing, sealed up and completed. I've got my own labor capacity issues and a ton of variables. So I appreciate your flexibility. We will be here next week. A couple of things that kind of shocked me as I was going around. I seem to have noticed more log movement just over this winter. And so I want to point that out. Obviously we're going through here and we're going to be addressing a number of these cracks, a lot of them, and really shoring up the integrity of the logs. There's additional spaces between the logs. You can see that space there. That to me looks new. I don't remember seeing that one, and it's the whole run. So we're gonna have some chinking that goes in there, but it's a little bit beyond, and I'll show you some other parts. Now this stuff in here was what I noticed last year. However, it's gotten to me a lot bigger, and there's two rows, right? The stuff that really surprised me, I'll kind of walk around, there's some wind, so I hope you can hear me okay, is on this east side and north side. And we had at one point entertained the idea of not doing anything on these sides, and I did not notice this. You know, there's a gap here, there's a gap right above it, there's a gap right above it. So these logs are definitely moving significantly. And a lot of the insulation, you know, as I'm power washing, I'm being mindful not to blow it out, but some of it does. You know, there's just other areas where we're seeing right into that insulation types of areas. And, you know, last year these logs looked different, obviously, on the lower stuff. Same thing is happening as on the outside. The stuff right underneath the eaves is way more protected, so you could see the water is still beating up. And our stain is not necessarily going to bond there, but what we'll do in that area is what I call a polish coat. And so where the wood does absorb our stain, awesome. Where it doesn't, like some of the sealed up stuff, here's another gap right along there. And then right above it, there's another significant gap. I can see it through the insulation. Where the woods do not absorb that stain, we'll do a light coat to get the tint on and then move on. So it's a little bit of a brush and sometimes wipe. Just another one where you see the insulation. So, I mean, in theory, it would not hurt to go and chink just about every seam of log to log. That's a little bit beyond what we had scoped, as are all these multitudes of pieces. So I wanted to get this in front of you and be super transparent, have the conversations. We've got some good monies in this budget to shore up a lot of this, and I just want to be able to get out in front of any changes and communicate really openly. So, you know, this is the north side, the most protected side, and again, we've got some good logs, but that might be it on this side. This is a lot tighter, which seems like that east side was tight at one point too. So anyway, I just will be out here next week. Yeah, there's a significant, just showing off these huge cracks. I mean, I can see the bolt, the anchor that runs through these logs. There's that crack, through that crack. And so there's a lot of movement. And then the final piece is I am using a really top quality stain, Reimar, and that is a pre-order type of deal. So Tom, I'll follow up with you Monday or Tuesday. I have this in, and I want to make sure it's the right tint. If we have to order a different tint, we can, but these are packaged tints out of Reimar. And I went with a dark brown, going with this type of log coloring. Some of the protected logs are a little bit lighter, if we went light on this, this is still gonna look darker. So I just went with the darker brown. And you know, I've got about a week to week and a half lead time on that order. So if I do need to reorder, I will. Otherwise, we'll be good to go. And then of course, we'll get that cupola to be the same color. Okay, long-winded message, but I wanted to point out those cracks and some significant logs that seem to have shifted, and just stay out in front of it. As we get into this more and more, we can obviously have more conversations, but if anything strikes you, get a hold of me as soon as possible. And like I said, we'll be out here next week. I'm gonna let these logs really dry out over the weekend, and I'm buttoning up one other project just south of Crested Butte on Monday, Tuesday, and so we should be here one of those 3 days in the beginning of the week. I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for the opportunity. This is a really cool building and a really cool location.